Okay, this is Nana with So It Seems. I have this table. I'm upcycling. It is going to be a plant stand. I got it from the Goodwill. I sanded it. I just scuff sanded it, but I was almost tempted to just polyurethane it and keep it like it is because I love the way that it distressed with the sanding. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to chalk paint the legs and the stand and possibly stain the top. And I'm trying to decide between celery and sandstone. And I think I have decided on celery. I'm going to grab a paper plate to use. Okay, so I've decided that I'm going to go with the celery, and we're going to do the bottom and the stand part is going to be done in celery. Okay. And I sanded this, and then I washed it down with just a wet towel. Okay. Let's see if this one's open. Oh yeah, this one's already open. All right, so I'm going to use the one that's open. This is Celery Chalk Paint by Waverly. I'm just going to shake it up. Now, you do not have to sand to chalk when you chalk paint. You really usually do not have to sand, but I wanted to go ahead and give it a try and see what it would be like when I sanded it. And I think once the chalk paint dries and I have the top done, I think I'm going to do a little bit of sanding just to distress it. So let's see. All right. So let me see if you can see the leg of the table. Let's come down a little bit. Okay. There we go. All right. So I've got my plate. I put the celery chalk paint in my plate. I'm using just a foam brush, and I'm going to get started on the base of the table. And I might need to use the big brush on the straight parts and then use the small brush. So let me grab a small brush as well. So I will have both of what I need. I use the foam brushes and I throw them away when I'm done. I use paper plates. I throw the plate away when I'm done. Easy cleanup. If you get it when it's wet, you can clean up with soap and water. Chalk paint is very forgiving. So if you want to try redoing stuff, chalk paint is a good place to start. But I tell you, when I sanded this, the way that the grooves of the table did so great when I sanded it, I'm pretty sure that when I'm done chalk painting, I'm sure we're going to do at least 2 coats. And I'm definitely, hello, how are you doing? I am definitely going to do some sanding to distress once I'm done painting, because this spindle on this table, it just really looked nice when I distressed it. The raised areas looked really good. So I think I'm going to do that. So if you're new to my channel, I do have a playlist of where I believe it has all came from the Goodwill, and most of it is vintage furniture and upcycles. I do a lot of that on my channel. I love to craft, and I love to upcycle. And very few, I don't really buy anything new. Probably the most that I buy new would be my supplies for upcycling, like my paint. Although I do look at Facebook Market, and I have been lucky in purchasing chalk paint, purchasing stains, spray paint. I have found all of that on Facebook Market. But if if you're looking for a certain color, I even got some epoxy at Goodwill the other day. It looked like it was brand new. It's a brush on, like, waterproofing kind, and I got it for $5. So I went ahead and got that, put it in my arsenal. So I'm just doing the first coat. I'm using a foam paintbrush, going back and forth between the small paintbrush and the big paintbrush. Depends on what part of the stand I'm actually painting. Right now I'm painting down the bottom. Let me see if I can lower the camera just a little bit. Kind of give you a little bit better view. Okay. Hi there. Thank you for being on here. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, if you like thrifting, if you like upcycles, DIYs, please join. I am a thrift store junkie. I just love the thrift store. I really do. Thrift stores, flea markets, yard sales, strange items sitting by the road. I've got a wicker stand in my car right now that was sitting beside the road that I picked up. I haven't decided what I'm going to do as far as painting it. So this color is celery, and this is one of my favorite colors in the chalk paint. Let's see, I've got celery and I've got moss. Celery is a lighter green, and the moss is a darker green. I've done a lot of the things in my kitchen in the celery, And in my bedroom, I have done some things in the moss color. So bit by bit, I'm changing my house decor, and I'm going to more of a farmhouse style. And everything I'm getting is pretty much coming from the thrift store. And I'm taking what I take out of my house and I'm selling it pretty cheap on Facebook Market, giving someone a good deal, but replacing the money that I'm spending at the thrift store. Right now, I'm just trying to paint under the table up high. I'm going to keep the top of the table dark. I'm just going to paint underneath where the spindle is. I'm going to paint that in the celery. And then the top and the sides, I believe I'm going to stain. Okay, I'm almost done with the first coat of the chalk paint. So far, I have redone two benches, a chair, a toy box. So far, everything that I have redone, I have used it in my house. And I usually, okay, what's the there's a problem, what is it? Is there a problem with the camera? Hey, Kevin. The small brush is better for the small curved areas, and the large brush is better for the straight areas. And I'm just painting on an old rug. I just put it down when I'm painting. For several years, it was a Christmas rug I used, but last year I decided to clean it really good and I accidentally cleaned it in hot water. So everything faded. So I turned it into a painting mat, which has been a good use for it. Oops. Usually when I paint, I wear gloves, but I've used them all. Okay. Now I'll have to wait until tomorrow to do any sanding because I want to make sure that the paint is good and dry. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to look and try to make sure I don't have any runs. And then I'm going to let this finish drying, and I'm going to work on staining the top of the piece. But first let me go around and check for runs. When after I stain the top of the piece, then I'll go back and touch up anything that needs to be touched up. And that's not unusual. I usually do two good coats and a touch up, because as it dries, I always see things that need to be touched up. And this is a small table, so I can just I can move it around. Again, if anything needs to be touched up, I'll get that done. I'm going to do the top. I'm going to try to do it in a dark stain and see how it looks. Sometimes I mix a little bit of a stain and a wax together, and it gives it a really dark look, but you can still see the wood grain, which I think is pretty. Okay, let's see if I've got any drips. If you want to get into redoing furniture and see if you like it, I recommend going to the thrift store and getting something that you haven't put much money into. Like this table was $3.95. And it's going to be a plant stand. That's what I'm going to use it for. I don't know if it's going to be inside or outside yet, but if it's outside, I've got some nice strong polyacrylic that I can seal it with to help it weather being outside. Oop, I see you run. Okay. Let me do one more turn, check for runs, and then I'll get busy on the top. Okay. also don't have my glasses on, which is not good. Okay. All right, I'm gonna pull the camera up. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to get out the stain and the wax. Let's see how that looks. Let's see. Wax. Okay, there's my clear. Okay, here's my stain. And okay, so I've got some Waverly ink and I've got some stain. Let's see. Okay, I'll use these brushes. I'm gonna take my stain out. I have it all taped up. I didn't want it to spill. There's just a little bit left. I've done several projects with it. Okay, there we go. Okay. All right, I'm going to start with some stain. Ooh, I like that. Ooh, that's pretty. All right. Let's give it a good coat. Oop, good thing that's dry. All right, I'm just wiping the stain on. Yeah, I really wish I could have found my gloves. The painting's not so bad, but I definitely need my gloves when I'm staining. Okay, see the top? I'm going to do a little more. Do a little more stain. Okay. All right. Okay, at this point, we have the top dark and the bottom is in the chalk paint. I'm going to let the bottom dry. Okay, I'm going to let it dry very, very well. And then once it's dry, I'm going to let it dry good. And then I'm going to do just a little bit of distressing. Okay, give me just a minute and I'll show you what we have so far. Okay, so what I did first, I always clean my projects in simple green. That is a cleaner that will get rid of dirt, grease, and grime. So I cleaned the table because I got it, excuse me for a moment. Do that. Okay, so here's the table. So first I cleaned it with simple green, then I sanded it. So I finished the top with some stain and I've painted the bottom with chalk paint. That's what we have so far. I'm going to let this dry really good. Then I'm going to touch up any areas of chalk paint that need touching up. And then my last and final step, I'm going to seal the top with some wax. I'm going to take sandpaper and I'm just going to lightly sand where where it's raised up at on the spindle, and lightly sand a little bit on the bottom to give it a little bit of a distressed look. And then I'm going to go over that with chalk. This is going to be a plant stand that's going to go in my kitchen, and I paid $3.95 for it at Goodwill. So that's all the steps to it. And thank you for being here. And as always, I will show the finished product when I'm done. This is Nana with So It Seems. If you like DIYs, upcycles, and vintage items, thrifting, crafting, and sewing, please join my channel. Thank you for being here.